Much of my time is spent working outdoors. I paint in a lot of different locations, different places around the country, different habitats. I've found myself noticing that there's a variety, not just in the topography, the lie of the land, the nature of these habitats, but also in the life. There's a diversity, the difference, the variety of animals and plants that are living and growing in these places. And that's what's known as biodiversity, this phenomenal variety of life forms. They interact, they live in webs, they stack up into food chains, and this is all going on around me while I'm painting. And this absolutely fascinates me. I have a passion for exploring and discovering and looking closely at all these animals and plants that are living around me. The birds, the insects, the flowers, the beetles, the moss, the lichen, the seaweed, the fish. It's just such a rich world. Sometimes life doesn't show itself readily to you. You're aware of the occasional bird flying by, something washed up on the seashore, maybe some of the mollusks on the rocks, or if you turn over a rock, you see the crabs and the small creatures. And so what I've been doing in this series, which makes up this body of work, is while I'm painting the work, the canvas or whatever the piece is, I tend to scrawl somewhere on the painting the plants or the animals that I experience, that I'm witness to. In this case, I've written across here jackdaws, sand eels, seaweed flies, sandhoppers, oyster catchers, pied wagtail, wimbrel. So they're just a bunch of birds and small creatures that I was noticing while I was painting. And that's where I came with this idea of what's known as taxonomy, the labelling of individual species of plant and animal. You suddenly realise the myriad of life forms that are found in these places, hopefully. Sometimes when I go from place to place, what I notice is not just the beautiful variety of life, but also the differences between one place and the next, whether there's a richness, what's known as a biodiverse hotspot, or whether there's a complete paucity, the place is barren of life. For instance, you could go in a beautiful old flower-rich meadow and find maybe 150 species of flowering plant, if you're lucky. But you could also go into an intensive agricultural field and find literally one or two. This is what I've trying to get over to the audience with this body of work, is one animal or plant is dependent on another species. The tiny, tiny species that live on slightly larger species that live on slightly larger species than that. All this stuff is going on around us, and I want us to be aware of it. It's only by being aware of what we share this amazing planet with that we have a chance of appreciating all these other life forms and therefore hopefully conserving it.